Thank you everyone for joining. I do invite you to turn your cameras on if you're comfortable doing so, and if not, it's completely fine. This will be about 45 minutes, and from an agenda standpoint, it very much will be covering what money means, understanding our financial constraints, our financial confusion, and having a really open conversation. A little bit about me before we begin. So my name is Sonya Barlow, as Christina kindly mentioned. I graduated in 2015, fell into the world of tech with a lot of debt because I was a student and kind of had student loans. Unfortunately, left my corporate business and a stable salary at the end of 2019. And at the start of 2020, started my own business. There's two businesses. One is a social enterprise and charity titled LMF Network, and the second is my own diversity and business consultancy titled SB Consulting. Now, a couple of things to note. One, didn't really understand how to start a business. Two, didn't really have savings behind it. And three, the pandemic hit in March. So 75% of my income was wiped out. And in April and May, I had no revenue. Despite all of that, I have ended my first year with around 60K in revenue. I have been provided with a book deal. So I've launched my first book, Unprepared to Entrepreneur, which is on pre-order on Amazon now. I have hired 4 people, won 4 awards, and built a global team. A lot of that comes from being able to manage your finances. And even more, it comes from being able to have these uncomfortable conversations so that we all feel like we are in the same or similar place and that we all have something to learn. So in terms of today, we will understand the underlying mental and mindful strategies associated with having a healthy relationship with money, learn about digital apps and tools available to support your financial education, and develop a method to save, structure, and focus your spending. So my first question to everyone here: when was your fear, failure, and what the hell moment when it comes to money? Why are you here right now? What would you like to get out of this workshop? What is it that we can help you with? Now, given that this is a virtual event and we are still virtually networking, I invite everyone to introduce themselves via the chat. So I want to know who you are, what do you do, and what would you like to take away from today? Why? One, introductions are important. Two, you have so many of your community members on this call, and so you could create a new connection. And three, it helps us to direct the conversation so that we're really adding value rather than just speaking at you. So let me know, what is your name, what do you do, and what would you like from this conversation? So I'll give you a minute for those who are able to on the chat. So cool, Valerie from Dublin, working for a few years, but have no real financial structure in place. Absolutely, budgeting. Christina, I was stuck in Canada with little money and I didn't save enough and I want to be a better saver. Absolutely. Tell me what it is so we can get into it. Let's have a really honest conversation. Valerie, it'll be great to know, what do you do as well, right? There's other people on the call. Maybe this is a great time for you to connect, for you to network, for you to support one another. What is it that you do? Bhumika, a college student, learning how you can earn and grow money. Absolutely. And a lot of this is fun, interesting conversation. It is for us to know, for us to use, for us to go forward. If I mispronounce your name, please tell me off. Emrican, freelance illustrator. Basically, my main fear is not getting hired and regular works because of competition. Making it so hard to predict. Need to make money for me. Absolutely. Let me know. Let's go forward. Keep it going. Cool. So your next question is, what are you afraid of when it comes to money? You've already answered the second one. But the first question is, what are you afraid of when it comes to money? Is it, as one of your colleagues mentioned, not getting hired? Is it how to make money work for you? Is it how to invest? Is it how to grow? So we have Ellen. working in a philanthropy organization, also setting up a honey business on the side will learn how to have financial freedom. I love that. And that's awesome. So in 45 minutes, of course, we are not going to be able to fix everything or solve everything, but what we are going to do is this an introduction to, and anything else we can take forward. So my first exercise for everyone here is, I need you to understand which percentage of your income do you save, invest, spend, or use to pay off debt. And so this is an exercise for you to probably take out your notepad and pen, or for you to do on your phone, or for you to take a screenshot of and to do after. But what you need to understand is versus what is coming in. What are the large monthly outgoings? What are your utility bills? How do you regularly pay off debt? What percentage of your income do you save? What percentage do you invest? So my first year of business, I haven't really been able to save a lot of money. A lot of it has gone on revenue generation, hiring a team, building the business out, and that's completely fine as well. What I've realized is that now that in the UK, or at least in England, in London, things have opened, I've gone out to see my friends twice and I've spent nearly £100. I'm thinking, how can we be spending so much money on socializing? And why is it so expensive? Right? £100. Actually, for some people, that's your day rate. You work 9 hours a day just to make £100 and you go blow it on 2 meals and a bit of socializing. If anything, the pandemic has taught us how we can think, how we can save, how we can consider finances. What I also encourage is please use the chat for questions or unmute yourself at any time. So has anyone done the exercise? And if so, please do share. If not, that's cool. Please do it in your own time. But what percentage of your income do you spend, save, invest, or use to pay off debt? It should be eye-opening. I would say that during the pandemic, as in during lockdown, most of my monthly outgoings were rent and utility bills. I didn't shop, spent a lot of money on food, but saying that you were able to cook from scratch. And I probably spent about £25 a week on Uber Eats or Deliveroo. But that was still cheaper, 4 meals in 100 in a month versus 1 meal or 2 meals in 100. How much should I save? In my first year, I didn't get to save as much as I should have or wanted to, but I definitely invested about 5K. Any comments, any thoughts, anyone want to provide feedback? Feel free. Okay. So we think about the psychology of money. In a study conducted by Rick Sider and Lowenstein, participants were scanned as they pretended to make buying decisions. Researchers observed activity in a brain called the insula, which is stimulated when you experience something unpleasant. The more stimulation in the insula, the less likely you are to do or to keep doing what you're doing. When it comes to money, insular stimulation can stop your spending. However, what this has also shown us and what it tells us is that research has conducted that people who have more insular activity in their brains are more likely to be savers and those with less are to be spenders. And since we tend to skew, spenders can end up in financial trouble and savers can end up with great regrets. Recognizing which one you are can help you reach your financial goals and a healthier lifestyle. So if you don't know what side of the insula works for you, start really consciously activating that part of the brain. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if there is something which is outgoing and you do not feel comfortable with it, start feeling like you're not comfortable. Tell your brain that this is not a healthy habit. It takes 30 to 90 days to form habits. And building up our insular activity in our brain is one way that we can do it. Simona says, is there a reliable test to know if we're spenders or savers? So there's no test online. It's not something that they've necessarily done as such, but there are definitely areas of. So if we go back to our first kind of exercise, there's definitely these exercises that you can conduct to yourself to know which one you sit in. There is also a financial app that I personally am working with as a brand affiliate that I'd recommend, called Claro, who I've just pasted into the chat, who are digital financial coaches. So they've partnered with our social enterprise and education. They could be a great learning tool for you all if you would like to sign up and go forward. In regards to if you're a reliable spender or saver, I guess you have to take a step back and think, what are you saving for? What are you spending? And so the rule of thumb is that 20% of your income should be saved. That's like the first benchmark to go on. Research at Stanford presented nursery school kids with a tray of goodies that contained marshmallows, pretzels, and cookies. They told the kids that if they told the kids to select one treat, and if they ate it immediately, they wouldn't receive any more. But if they waited, they'd receive more and they'll double the candy. If you're a spender, you can't delay the gratification with cash in front of you, just like the marshmallow. You can't resist the urge to have it right now, even if you can't have more later. That's why you don't have many savings in the bank, because it doesn't bother you. That's one way. That's another kind of, active test. Psychology of money. Never use credit cards or other lines of credit. Withdraw cash from your bank account yourself so that you can see the dwindling balance. Pay as you go. Don't run a bar tab. Don't pay for everything up front. I don't know about you, but I lost a lot of money in the pandemic when the holidays got shut down. Weddings got shut down. And what have I learned from that? Buy it if you need it closer to the time. Don't do it up front. Be vocal about your saving goals. Tell your family, your friends, your colleagues what you're trying to save and get them to support you. Reward yourself when you have saving goals. So what I mean by that is, for every £100 you generate, spend £10. Save 20 and use the rest. If you want to save, if you want to spend, psychologically, we as humans want to be able to enjoy a certain aspect of life, whatever that may be. Just use 10% of your income to do that. Stop and ask yourself before every purchase before you truly need the item or not. So just this week, I went crazy in a shop, bought like £100 worth of clothes, came back, and I was like, I don't actually need any of this. And also, where am I wearing it? Because in the house, I'm just in loungewear, pajamas. And so it's really about taking a step back. So I'm going to go return the items. Look at the future, no matter how comfortable it is, and ask yourself how much money you need to retire. Think about opening an ISA. If you open an ISA at the age of 18 and you put in £4,000 a year, you could have over 100K at the end of your work life and at the start of your retirement life. Even if you can set aside £100 a month, that's £1,200 that you didn't necessarily have at the end of the year. Over 10 years, that's 12 grand that you didn't have. In the UK, 42% of women and 32% of men said saving money or saving more money would be their New Year's resolution for 2018. Now, that figure is pretty much the same. Every year we wake up in Jan, we're like, right, we're going to save money, we're going to go to the gym. And then by the end of Jan, we are like, we've got no money left, we haven't been to the gym, and we've given up. Don't wait until New Year's. Think about what you can start doing today. Even if today you're like, right, I've got £5, I'm going to put £5 into my savings, that's good enough. Knowing and understanding your personality trait. Are you impulsive or are you excessive spender? The role of emotional, paying on credit paying on a credit card is less painful. For example, paying with cash makes us more uncomfortable. How have I dealt with that, for example? And how do I encourage have real-time notifications? I have an American Express, so every time I spend, it tells me I'm spending and it tells me I'm over. Generation age, millennials prefer to spend their money on experience rather than something they can own, especially those under the age of 24. They've grown up in a world of instant gratification. Social media. In a 1,000-person study, 30% respondents said social media influenced their spending decisions. Nearly 40% said that seeing other people's holiday purchases made them consider similar goals. Unfollow accounts or just create goals for savings. So I'd like to get you all involved back into this conversation. Tell me, please unmute yourself. Tell me a question. Give me a time where you haven't been able to save. Anything on reflection that you want to discuss when it comes to your fear, failures, and fuck moments. When it comes to money, when it comes to finances. If you're a new business owner thinking about how to justify your spend and how to consider revenue, think about creating a basic Excel sheet. Income versus outgoings versus income. How much are you giving to your colleagues per week, per month? How much are you giving to yourself? Who is your accountant? When are you doing expenses? If you are starting investment, for example, something like crypto, which is volatile in itself, think about how much money can you afford to not have on you at any time. Start with as little as £10, £5, £100, and don't go any further. If you are saving or investing and you're thinking, what can I do regularly? Think about opening up an ISA, Help to Buy, a LISA, a retirement fund, and putting 100, £200, euros, whatever currency you may have into that every month, and watching it grow. Any questions, thoughts, comments anybody would like to share before we carry on? I appreciate this is an interactive workshop, so I just want to make sure you get what you need out of it. Barlow says, is it a good idea to have a session with a financial planner? Absolutely. It's the same as when you have a session with a business coach or, you know, a confidence coach or a PT. It's always healthy to have 1 or 2 sessions just to get your basic education to play. If you don't have any financial planners in hand, I can definitely send you some great recommendations. So as I mentioned, I run a community, and that community is over 35,000 social following. We have over 600 mentors and mentees in a program right now. The point I'm trying to make is we have tons of great financial planners that would be happy to give you a one-to-one and also support you in your work moving forward. So to answer your question, I definitely think it's important to have 1 or 2 sessions with a financial planner, but caveat that to say it's not the role of the financial planner to carry it on. It's about you being responsible, and then for them to step in when things go wrong or when you need extra support. Because at the same point, if we give everyone work to do within our business, we're never really going to learn. And that's the problem. That's what arises. If you don't know your own basic finances, how can you have somebody else support you in them, right? We're going to do another exercise. So again, pen, paper. There are a number of questions that I'm going to ask you to give yourself a score out of 0 or 1. So first question, do you currently have a personal budget, spending plan, or financial plan? If it's a yes, it's a 1. If it's a no, it's a 0. And you don't need to share these with anyone. These are personal. Second question, how confident are you in your ability to achieve your financial goal that you set for yourself today? Not at all, somewhat, very confident. 0, 1, 2. If you had an unexpected expense, or someone in your family lost a job, got sick, or another emergency, how confident are you that your family could come up with the money to make ends meet within the month? 0, 1, or 2. Do you currently have an automatic deposit or electronic transfer set up to put money away for future savings or future use? Yes or no? In the past month, would you say your family's spending on living expenses was less than its total income? Yes or no? In the last 2 months, have you been charged on a late fee or a loan or a bill? Yes or no? So the question that was before from Simona that asked about reliable tests. This is one way of testing yourself, just to understand where you are. And it gives you a good indication as to where you need help and where you need improvement and where you're doing great. So if your score totals 8 or close to 8, it indicates a strong financial condition. This is a great test, 6 questions just to identify where you need more support. Park those questions. And this is going to be an interactive exercise, but due to time, it's not. And it very much is about us learning. So a great example being the first question, financial budget plan. The second, financial goals. The third is unexpected. The fourth is savings, direct debits. The fifth is your actual spending habits versus income. And the last is your ability to pay on time. If you're able to identify of those 6 questions, 3 areas that you need support, those should be your priority and you can take it forward. Any questions on that? And absolutely, thank you for sharing. This recording will be shared afterwards. So if there is anything you need to do in terms of thinking or time, we can go through it afterwards. If you have any questions, you can definitely get in touch with me. I've also shared kind of Clara, who's our affiliate partner, if you need any support there. But most importantly, this is about us supporting one another to become more financially fit. So why do you want to get better with money? Right? What is the why? The why is financial stability. The why is running your business. The why is because you want something to be able to have that you can call your own. Why is because you want to buy a house, because you want to go on holiday, because you want to upgrade your laptop. So that question goes out to everyone. Why do you want to get better with money? Financial stability. Absolutely. Financial stability comes in different forms. Financial freedom. So my question, or let's not say question, sorry, my recommendation to everyone is, and you don't have to do this right now, I just need you to take this away right as homework, is what does financial freedom and financial stability mean to you? What do I mean by that? It means I need you to go and take a tally of your cost per month, your basic most minimum costs, right? Once you have those costs covered, so let's say it's £1,200. I'm just making this up. 500 goes into rent, 500 goes into food and shopping, and 200 is your gym and kind of any social activity. Just make it really simple. That means that in order for you to be financial free, you need to earn 1,200 plus more, right? You haven't even included savings. So let's say savings is 300 a month. So that's 1,500. Anything you make above 1,500, you have financial freedom because you're able to cover your costs. That's what basic financial freedom starts from. It starts from the ability of covering major costs. My advice going forward for everyone is always have a budget, or a budget in regards to a safety blanket. So always have 3 months worth of basic cost covered sitting on your bank account before you consider saving. So again, if we think about 1,500 as basic costs, 1,500 times 3 would be 4.5k. You want 4.5k just sitting in your account for emergency, and anything above that is financial freedom and savings. My point is, we need to change our definition of financial freedom and savings. Financial freedom, if we are trying to be the celebrities on the internet, I mean, most of them don't have financial freedom because they are spending more than they are earning. Financial freedom simply is being able to earn more than you spend. What I also want to discuss really briefly is what we should be doing as business owners and what we should be thinking about from a invoicing perspective. So here's a couple of tips and tricks if you don't already know. How to create an invoice. Use templates, have a folder of all your invoices, keep track of all invoice numbers. So I actually have invoicing numbers from from 1 all the way to whatever. So as an example, in 2020, 2021, I think I sent out like 116 invoices, right? I have them all tracked and numbered. Write T's and C's on the invoice. So an example, the interest you can charge if another business is late paying for goods or services is statutory interest. This is 8% plus the Bank of England base rate for business to business transaction. Create an Excel sheet to track invoices, color code for green, orange, red, or yellow. Be on top of your money. When it comes to accounting, open a bank account separate to your income account, just for business. I have one on Starling Bank. If you'd like a recommendation, let me know. Track your expenses. Now, expenses can be anything from advertising, marketing, business travel, vehicle, meals, and entertainment. Even if you don't run a business, this is actually really healthy exercise to do. If you can track your expenses every month via apps, or equally via tools or open banking, it makes a big difference. Choose a bookkeeping method. Refers to day-to-day recording, categorizing, and reconciling of transactions. Basically, bookkeeping keeps you from spending and making money without tracking it. You can use Xero, QuickBooks, FreshBooks, Sage. Point is, they will give you a pie chart and tells you where your money is going, how much you actually have, and where it's being spent. Set up a payroll when it comes to employees and freelancers. Educate yourself on tax obligations, practice and hire. Now, why have I written that? A lot of us want to be better with our expenses. A lot of us want to be better with our money, but unfortunately, we spend a lot of time doing things that we don't need to do. And so I personally have decided to hire some colleagues. I've got them working with me in the month. Yesterday, I was able to take the day off and go for a couple of personal appointments whilst my colleagues were able to build proposals for me. That itself was a good use of time and money, right? So also think about where you can outsource so you have some money or some financial freedom yourself. Because to me, financial freedom also means being able to enjoy my day. And that is really important. So again, from a mental health and wellness perspective, what does it mean for you? Taxes. Do I need to register with HMRC? Yes, if you work for yourself. And some tax elements that no one tells you is really important. This is UK specific, but please find out what it is in your local currency. In the UK, everyone gets the first 12,500 to earn as income tax free. Tax rate up to 12 grand is 0%. After 50 grand is 40%. Why is this important? Okay. So between my first and second role, I negotiated a pay rise. I was on 30 grand. I negotiated a pay rise of 45k. I thought, you know what, 45k is not enough. I'm going to go for 50. Why did no one tell me that when I hit 50, I hit a whole different tax bracket? I would have probably made more money if I stuck to like 45, 49 rather than 50s and above. The point is, think about where you can be savvy. Where can you be knowledgeable? 1 grand a year isn't going to change a big difference, but it will from a tax bracket perspective. Also think about when you're doing your taxes, how do you equate them? And if you work for an employer, please check your pay slips. If not every month, every quarter. Any questions on this? Any thoughts? What are your expenses? Your expenses are mobile phone plans, office rent, tech equipment, travel expenses, business books, website hosting. If you work for a company or if you're employed by employers, see if they can cover your Wi-Fi costs, your phone costs. Because you're working with them, you're working for them, even though you're at home, you're using their tools and tech, right? You're using your own. If you're working for yourself, remember to expense this because it still comes under office expenses. If you're a freelancer, capture that in your rates. So how to save 101. In your 20s, the average salary sits at 26k per year, which is estimated £1,700 a month. You need to save 10 grand in 36 months. And here's your expensive, your travel card, 200 a month, your rent, your food, dinner, socializing. Without even realizing your basic costs are £1,300. You have £400. What do? You have to work backwards. To get 10k in 36 months, you have to save £218 a month, roughly. That means you roughly have £182 to play with. How do you divvy them? How do you divide them? What do you do? And of course, this is relative to London just because it was central base. But yes, Christina's just mentioned and shared the tax rate for Irish citizens. Please culturally localize all the content that's being shared. If you are trying to save this amount of money per month, one, tell your people, your friends, your partners, your colleagues, you're saving. You can't expense, you can't spend. Two, when you think about holidays and dinners, book your holidays, your dinners on what we shared before. For every £100 you get, you spend 10%. That spend can go towards holidays, but actually over a year, you have X amount of money. £120 may not seem like a lot, but actually you can get a lot with it if you really tried. You have to know what the opportunity cost is. What are you willing to share? What are you willing to save? What are you willing to give up? And of course, this is the lowest end of the salary, which is the average salary though. Another saving tool, 50, 20, 30. The 50, 30, 20 rule puts 50% of your income towards necessities. 20% should go towards financial goals. And 30% of your income to be allocated towards wants like dining or entertainment. Then you have the 52-week saving challenge. Week 1, deposit £1. By week X, you do week X. By week 52, you should have 13 grand saved. 1K saved, £1,300 saved. That's still a lot of money. When you're thinking about hotels, when you think about holidays, when you think about restauranting, when you're thinking about dining, when you're thinking about becoming financially savvy, remember, financial savviness comes from your definition of what financial safety, financial savviness, financial freedom is. My version of financial freedom is not to be able to go to like Louis Vuitton and to be able to buy everything. I don't care about that, right? My version of financial freedom is to be able to take a day off and have a team work and get the work done. When you go on a holiday, to be able to stay in a 4-class or 4-star versus a 3-star. Have 2 Uber Eats a week rather than 1. My point is, build your definition around your lifestyle, around your workload, around what works for you, and focus on it that way. So as we come to our final few minutes, here is a goal setting exercise. I need to save X amount in X or Y months. Think about your goals, SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time effective. That doesn't have to be saving for a house. That could be, right, I want to go on holiday to Thailand at the end of the year. I know that's going to cost me a minimum of 3K. We're in month 5. I want to go month 11. I've got 6 months. 3K over 6 months means I need to save £500 a month. Think about creating 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and 5 year goals. Trying to create 10-year goals sometimes doesn't work because life is shifting so quickly that we don't know what else is coming up. But that's the point, is if life is shifting so quickly, you need 3 months of emergency savings ready. Some tools that you can use today: Finimize, learning about investing and financial news; Yolt, see everything in one place; Moneybox, save and invest; voucher codes; Experian, Ticker, Happy Hour Founder, discounted meals across Europe; and of course, Claro Money, which is what I've shared with you in the resources right now. They're a digital financial coach and app. Even something like Happy Hour Finder. There are a lot of localized groups, so like Too Good To Go, Olio, a lot of local areas, so like, you know, Meal Plan, City Munch. A lot of these are localized, and you will have local efforts. Groupon. The point I'm trying to make is, think about how you can still enjoy the same or similar whilst being on a discount and whilst presenting yourself some savings. So what are some things I can do tomorrow? Open an ISA, consider your pension contribution, create a fixed saving account, or put into a bond. Make and take your own lunch, take out £20 a week and spend only that. Use discounted apps. Use a tracking app, don't be led by emotion, and walk instead of short transport journeys. Other, audit monthly subscriptions, change or swap to a SIM-only plan, check yourself a monthly goal, reclaim any delays, use cashback sites. There's an app called Honey, a plugin that you can use when you're buying things online. It automatically tells you if there's a discount code that you can use at the back of it. I religiously, every time I buy from online, I will go and Google or open a new tab on Google and write promotion codes. There will always be something available. Nike, Adidas is a great example. If you join their membership club, which is absolutely free to join, you get free delivery, right? It's free to join, but you save yourselves at least a tenner on delivery every time. If you are buying a lot from ASOS, it's probably worth getting free delivery. Amazon, if you're constantly buying something, it's probably worth getting it, but don't get it if you don't need it. So a great example being, I've got Amazon Prime and I've got Audible, but actually I've got books to read in paper and I'm not going anywhere because I'm working from home. That's probably a subscription I don't need anymore. It's better for when you're commuting, when you're walking, when you're going out. I don't feel the need to have a gym subscription. I like YouTube yoga and going for a run and using free apps. Think about what you can trade off and what's worked for you. Even things like, you know, smoothie makers or tea or kind of the food that you're eating internally in your own house. What can you make versus what can you order? Yesterday I gave an attempt to make Greek food, right? Like hummus, chips, or my version, like kind of restaurant version of Greek. On a serious note, that meal would have probably cost us about £30 for us to order out. It cost us about £7 for us to make. It was decent. It wasn't the best, but £23 in savings. It tasted yummy. So as we come to the end of our final few minutes, I'd love to invite you all for any questions, any thoughts, anything you may have. Please do connect with me online and on LinkedIn. As I've mentioned, my book is now available to pre-order, which is very exciting. And there is a whole money chapter in there, actually with advice from financial experts and those that have been in business before, which is always nice. And outside of that, I work very closely with iconic offices and encourage you all to get involved, to join the community events, to stay active community members, because I personally really rate them.